Here's another one of my freshwater oddities. A freshwater clam. That's right, I said freshwater and clam in the same sentence. Oh, there's my pigeon blood Discus trying to steal the spotlight here. She's a bit of a attention hog. I bet she just scared my clam. You can see this little white foot coming out of the clam there. It's part of the body. It's not too happy that I dug it up out of the sand today during cleaning. And the reason why I did that is at least once every other week I try to do it, usually every week. And yep, catfish just scared it. Anyway, I try to dig out my clam every week. And I do this after I've vacuumed out 25% of my water because it's easier to reach the floor of my tank at that point without getting water down my armpit. But I do that because unfortunately the biggest error of many aquarium keepers when they have freshwater clams is they don't keep an eye on them. They don't keep track of them, and they keep them on too small a clam on too deep a substrate. Because clams like to be mostly burrow, it helps protect them in the wild from being eaten. So the clam's gonna burrow. And what happens is they burrow, and if the substrate's really deep or you got a really, really small, like baby clam, they die. When they die, the keepers don't notice until it is rotting away. It causes a huge ammonia spike that kills everything in the tank, and the water turns milky white from it rotting. And even then, it can be very, very difficult to find them. It is highly suggested to keep your clams in a little glass bowl or a little plastic food storage dish. Put your sand or other very, very fine substrate, such as the kinds made for growing plants specifically in them. Keep them in that, bury that down into the soil, and it creates a little corral for the freshwater clam, so it'll be very easy for you to find them, to check on them at any time. So you just pick up the dish, and they're going to be within the substrate within that area to find them. You want a shallower, deeper dish for a bigger clam, a shallower dish for younger clams. In my case, this particular clam is about 1.5 inches. It can get up to 3 inches in size, shell size. And my substrate is only about 1 inch deep. I mean, you can see it's not flat. So there's places where it's deeper, but it does get stirred up every time I vacuum the gravel, which is once a week. So, like I said, I dig it out, I check on it. I also try and look in on it, make sure it's, seeing if it's changed position, see if it's opening and closing its shell at different times. If I poke it with a net, does it close its shell? You can do that too without digging it up if you have visibility. But the clam is really great. I really enjoy having it. It's a very exotic touch to my tank. And since I do have these lovely fake corals in my tank, it really, really brings together this whole coral look here. So that's really exciting. Oh yeah, here, my other Discus is going to sneak in here. So yeah, it really helps bring together this kind of reef feel, because it's a clam. I mean, how many clams have you heard of that lives in freshwater? I didn't know they existed until a friend of mine told me, so. And then I had to go out and buy one pretty much right away, so. Clams are a filter feeder, just like flower shrimp and bamboo shrimp. So it'll actually catch the small, very fine, ground up particles of food that my little vacuum cleaners, i.e. the Pictus catfish, can't find. So they really, really find like the powdery kind of flake food and stuff. And the small pieces of plant material coming off the plants, the roots, the dead roots from your live plants that kind of float around your tank. It'll pick those up, and its siphon, filter that out, and eat that too as a food source. So snails are clams are going to be very good for a tank that is very heavily planted, especially with tanks containing plants that do tend to have their leaves drop at a quick rate, something like hornwort or alodia, that sort of thing. But yeah, so that's my little freshwater oddity. It wasn't all that expensive. Really cool looking. Just adds a whole nice dimension to the tank. I'm sure by the morning this thing's going to be completely down under the substrate and I'm going to see just a little bit of the shell.